Will Ibrahim Traoré run for president? The shocking truth revealed. He seized power in a whirlwind of revolution. He became the youngest leader in the world. And now, the question gripping an entire nation, will Captain Ibrahim Traoré run for president? Rumors are flying, alliances are shifting, and the stakes? Higher than ever. What we discovered will shock you. This isn't just about one man, it's about the future of Burkina Faso and a leader who may change African politics forever. Stay with us, because in the next few minutes, the truth will be revealed. And it's not what you think. Burkina Faso's military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has been a polarizing figure since he took power in a 2022 coup. At just 37 years old, he's captured the attention of millions, both in Burkina Faso and across Africa, with his bold anti-Western rhetoric and promises to bring security and prosperity to his nation. But as his transitional presidency continues, one question looms large. Will Ibrahim Traoré run for president in a democratic election? Let's dive into the latest developments, public sentiment, and political dynamics to uncover the truth about his intentions. The political landscape in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has faced years of instability, marked by militant violence, economic struggles, and political upheaval. Since Traoré seized power in September 2022, he's positioned himself as a revolutionary leader, drawing inspiration from Burkina Faso's iconic former president, Thomas Sankara. His leadership has focused on rooting out corruption, fighting jihadist insurgents, and reducing Western influence, particularly from former colonial power France. However, his tenure has also been controversial, with reports of human rights abuses and a worsening security crisis. Traoré was named interim president after the 2022 coup, promising a swift return to civilian rule. Initially, he stated that the military would hand over power to civilians, saying civilians will choose their president. But as time has passed, concerns have grown that he may be reluctant to step down. In December 2024, Traoré sacked his prime minister and dissolved the government, raising questions about his commitment to democratic transition. This move fueled speculation that he might be consolidating power to extend his rule, possibly by running for president in future elections. Why people think Traoré might run. Traoré's popularity, especially among young Africans, is undeniable. His fiery speeches against imperialism and his push for Pan-Africanism have made him a symbol of resistance. Social media platforms are filled with praise for his leadership, with some calling him Africa's Che Guevara, or a modern-day Sankara. His supporters see him as a bold reformer who can free Burkina Faso from poverty and violence. This widespread admiration could encourage him to seek a formal presidency to cement his legacy. Recent events have added fuel to the speculation. In April 2025, thousands rallied in Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, to support Traoré after an alleged coup attempt. Demonstrators waved Burkinabe and Russian flags, chanting slogans like "Down with Imperialism" and full support for President Ibrahim Traoré. These rallies, coupled with his growing international presence, such as his visit to Moscow in May 2025 to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin, suggest he's building a strong political base, both at home and abroad. Moreover, Traoré's actions indicate he's not ready to step aside. The amnesty law passed in December 2024, which pardoned soldiers involved in a 2015 coup attempt, is seen by some analysts as a strategic move to gain loyalty from military factions. By bringing experienced military figures like General Gilbert Diendéré into his fold, Traoré could strengthen his grip on power, possibly to prepare for a presidential run. Analysts suggest this move might be a way to neutralize potential rivals within the military, a key factor if he plans to stay in power. The case against Traoré running. Despite his popularity, there are reasons to believe Traoré might not run for president. First, he has repeatedly emphasized that his role is transitional. After the 2022 coup, he promised to restore civilian rule and improve security, suggesting he sees himself as a temporary leader. His initial statements about civilians choosing their president could indicate he's wary of appearing power-hungry, especially in a country with a history of coups and public distrust in leaders who cling to power. Second, Burkina Faso's security crisis remains a significant challenge. Despite Traoré's promises, jihadist attacks have continued, with hundreds of civilians killed in 2025 alone. The displacement of over 3 million people and the closure of schools due to violence have tarnished his image as a capable leader. Running for president in such a volatile environment could be risky, as he'd face intense scrutiny over his failure to deliver on security promises. Third, international pressure might discourage a presidential bid. Traoré's alignment with Russia and his expulsion of Western forces have strained relations with neighboring countries and global powers. For example, his accusations against Ivory Coast for harboring coup plotters have created diplomatic tensions. If he runs for president, he risks further isolating Burkina Faso, especially if regional bodies like the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, push for democratic reforms. The role of public sentiment. Public opinion in Burkina Faso is deeply divided. Traoré's supporters view him as a hero who's fighting for sovereignty and economic independence. His efforts to leverage Burkina Faso's gold resources and his rejection of Western aid resonate with those frustrated by decades of foreign influence. Social media campaigns, some allegedly backed by Russia, have amplified his image as a revolutionary leader. For instance, a Nigerian actress and politician, Hilda Dokubo, praised Traoré as proof that leadership shapes a nation's future. However, critics argue that Traoré's rule has been marked by repression. His government has cracked down on dissent with reports of kidnappings and extrajudicial arrests. A local leader, Boukari Ouedraogo, publicly criticized Traoré in 2023 for ignoring the worsening security situation, urging him to leave the capital and see the reality on the ground. These criticisms suggest that while Traoré has a loyal base, he also faces significant opposition, which could complicate a presidential campaign. Russia's influence and Traoré's strategy. Traoré's growing ties with Russia have raised eyebrows. His visit to Moscow in May 2025, where he spoke about fighting imperialism, was widely covered by Russian state media. Some analysts believe Russia is boosting Traoré's image through propaganda, including AI-generated content, to counter Western influence in Africa. This support could give Traoré the confidence to run for president, as Russian backing might provide financial and military resources to bolster his campaign. On the other hand, this alignment with Russia could backfire. Relying on foreign support, even from a non-Western power, contradicts Traoré's anti-imperialist stance. If he runs for president, opponents could accuse him of hypocrisy, especially if Russian involvement in Burkina Faso grows. The shocking truth. What's next for Traoré? Will Ibrahim Traoré run for president of Burkina Faso? His intentions remain unclear. While Traoré has not announced a candidacy, his actions, such as consolidating power through government dismissals and an amnesty law, suggest a desire to maintain control. However, his commitment to a democratic transition and the challenges of governing amid a security crisis, with frequent jihadist attacks and millions displaced, may deter him from seeking the presidency. The unstable environment complicates holding free and fair elections, potentially giving Traoré a reason to delay them and extend his transitional rule without formally running. Alternatively, his popularity among young Africans and ability to mobilize support indicate he could win an election if he chooses to participate. To succeed, he would need to address the ongoing security issues and demonstrate progress on his promises to gain broader support. So Ibrahim Traoré's future remains uncertain, but his impact on Burkina Faso and Africa is undeniable. Whether he runs for president depends on his ability to navigate the country's complex challenges and maintain his revolutionary image. For now, he seems content to lead as a transitional president, but his actions hint at a desire for longer-term influence. As Burkina Faso grapples with violence and economic woes, the world watches to see if Traoré will take the leap from military ruler to elected leader, or if he'll continue to rule from the shadows. Only time will reveal the shocking truth about his plans. Whether he runs or not, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has already rewritten the rules of power. But the question remains, is this just the beginning or the calm before the storm? Let us know what you think. Will he take the leap into presidential politics? Or is something much bigger at play behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit like if this blew your mind and subscribe for more truths, twists, and turning tides in global leadership. And remember, the truth isn't always what it seems.